Welcome to Meta Market Weekly. I'm your co-host Justin, along with Fernando, and we're back. It's been a couple of weeks. Happy to be here. How's it going, man? How's it going, Fernando?
Hey Justin, I'm doing great. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, but fortunately we're back here.
Yeah.
And as usual, we're gonna be talking crypto. We're gonna be sharing a market analysis, and we're gonna be talking, about everything that happened between last podcast and today. So let's start by bringing my trading view profile to see what's going on with Bitcoin right now. You can see here that on the last podcast, I was saying that it is very likely that we're going to have a bounce here on this trend line. And it's starting to look like it's going to play out. Well, actually, I mean, we have two possible scenarios. One is that we bounce here, and the other one is that we go all the way down here, and then we have a bounce.
What's that like 24K just around?
24K. Yeah, but I don't find it very, the chances, in my opinion, the chances of this for happening are like 20%,
Okay, why do
because
you think that?
the reason why is because if we take a look at the RSI, which the RSI, I always, I always talk about the RSI, and I always will,
Yeah.
because it is a great indicator. It lets you know when a asset is overbought and oversold.
Mhm.
Of course, it's not always going to be exact, because not a lot of people know about these metrics. So for example, all the experts, when an asset is oversold, all the experts are gonna know, because they're gonna look at the metric and they're gonna see here like, oh, it's oversold. But when it's overbought, there's a lot of people that have no idea about this metric. They have no idea about the market, and they're just listening to people on YouTube, TikTok. And when it's overbought, there is no limit. It can just keep going, because I mean, as an expert, once you reach the overbought level, you gotta be careful, because I mean, you already know that it's overbought, but there is really no limit on to how high it can go, because all the noob money, the people that really don't know what's up with the market, they're just gonna keep buying. So the RSI is more an indicator to let you know when it's time to buy, and a good indicator to when it's time to be ready to sell. But
Mhm.
when it's time to sell, don't rely a lot on this indicator, because like I said, the people that start buying a lot of this asset don't know about the metric, so it could get confusing. But
Yeah.
on the buy section, it's a guarantee. If you're gonna look back at all the way to, I don't know, 10 years ago, and you're going to see that always when the RSI reaches around 30 points, eventually the market picks up. And we can see it. I mean, if we go to the beginning of this year, we can see that the first situation where we touched the 30% level, we dropped all the way from 25 to 19, and then it picked up. And like I said, when it's time to sell, it's not very accurate, but it helps. You have to use other indicators, and look at graphs to find out the exact moment. But when it's time to buy, just by using the RSI, you know what's up. And we can see here that on around June, when I was expecting the bounce, that I was saying that it was gonna bounce. Um, Hold on, the indicator closed. Oh, there we go. Okay. I mean, it didn't really get to 30%. It went around, it was like 38%, something like that. But you get the drill. So once it's very close to, no, actually I'm wrong. It got to 37%. Yes. So once you see that the RSI is very low, eventually it's going to bounce, because all the experts know about the RSI. And if you're a hedge fund, if you have $1 billion, and if you're the kind of person that has enough money to move the market, the moment you see that you're on oversold level, you're gonna buy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it doesn't matter if you miss by $1,000 or $2,000. It is pretty much 99% guarantee that you're gonna make a profit.
Hmm.
And right now, if we take a look at the RSI, we're already back. I mean, we hit oversold, overbought level. I'm sorry. And this time, it was very accurate. It started going down, going down, going down, and right now we're about 46%. So I'm expecting us to go somewhere around here again, 37, 36, which once we get to that level is going to be somewhere around this area. And then you can expect a bounce almost immediately because the RSI indicator does not lie. And once that happens, this is the next price range. This is where we're supposed to go. And if we have a major news being announced, at the market, a global news, doesn't have to be specific to the US. What I mean by this, it could be something like, the past months, there's been a lot of applications for a ETF
Yeah.
by BlackRock, by Fidelity, Valkyrie, and a lot of multi-billion, trillion-dollar hedge funds. And an approval of an ETF, in my opinion, would be I don't know. I'm gonna make this word up, like a golden swan event. We have a black swan. I guess we have to have a golden swan as well.
Yeah.
And we can we if we see something like that happen, we can see the price of Bitcoin go all the way to this resistance area, and from there, of course, then we're gonna have a pullback. If it's not here, I mean, there's always a pullback. And if we look at the price of Bitcoin this year, the pullbacks have been very traced. We go up and then pull back. We go up and pull back, up and pull back. So how far will it go? That depends on the market. That depends on the news. But for sure, this is the next price range. And if we break from here, then we can go all the way up to here. And then we're going to have a very, very big correction. But, we'll find out in the near future. I think that September and October are going to be very interesting months for the price action of the cryptocurrency market. And it's not all just good for the cryptocurrency market. The stock market is also doing pretty well. Um, Let me change here to weekly. Just a second. Okay, so yeah, the other day we were talking about how we reached a major resistance here, and that I was expecting a pullback as well. It is happening. Let me open my RSI. There we go. So we can see here that the RSI levels are very high. So definitely a pullback on the way. Most likely, if you ask me, the pullback will probably be somewhere. Um, Let me get the right tool. Hold on. Price, where is it? Price range. Okay. So if you ask me, it will probably be somewhere around here. The correction will probably be somewhere around this area, but nothing too big, nothing to be concerned about. The market is very healthy right now. The government unfortunately printed more money,
Hmm.
and that's not good for us individuals because it creates more inflation. But if you're smart and you're in crypto and the stock market and all that, it's good for your assets. And also, the CPI numbers just came out on Thursday, and inflation keeps going down. We're at a 3.2 inflation rate per year. I mean, of course, I personally believe that these numbers are tampered. I
I agree too.
if
I
they
don't think
yeah,
it's
so if they tell you it's
that way.
3.2, I think we should at least multiply it by three, right?
Yep.
But it's going down. It's going down, and everything's looking great. Not just for the stock market, for crypto, for everything. If we if we take a look at the market, how much trading volume there is, right now Bitcoin is trading at $10 billion worth of Bitcoin per day. Ethereum is doing almost 4 billion. Tether is doing 60 billion. So there's a lot of liquidity. The market is growing. I always tell my friends, not to be impatient because the market is relatively new. It's like the internet in the 90s. It started picking up in the year 2000. And I think that the crypto market and Web3 and all that is going to start picking up like real nice around by the year 2025.
Mm.
We'll see, but we're very close, from crypto taking off and being more adopted. And yeah, like I said, everything's looking great, which brings me to the first article that I wanted to share with you guys. JP Morgan, the institution is no longer expecting a recession in the US. In the last podcast, we were talking about this, and I was saying how I was not expecting one either because I was looking, at indicators and everything looks positive. However, the fact that JP Morgan is now coming out to say that they don't expect a recession is scary for me because I know how these major institutions work. They say something and they actually mean something else.
Mm.
So I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens. What do you think, Justin? Do you think that we're uh we're expecting a recession or we're all good?
No, I think we are.
Right?
I've never actually believed that the economy is actually healthy in the last 3 years since COVID.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's an illusion. I think it's a big illusion, and I think that you see it with these things that happen where there's a pretty big crisis happening in China right now with obviously the Everglade thing that happened last year, and now we're
Yeah.
having another. They're having another situation. They're also saw pretty high inflation numbers this week too in China, and these global macro indicators do affect the economy in the
Yeah. Yeah.
US. We want to pretend that they don't, but I just see it as when the stock market doesn't tank with that kind of news, it just goes to show the manipulation that we all know happens in the mainstream. So, and
Yeah.
I also just from my life experience and my just like living daily life, and I'm sure you're seeing it too. But I can feel it. I can feel going to the grocery store and prices are higher again. I actually just read an article yesterday that food prices have been dropping for the last few months, but now they're starting to rise again. So I think that inflation is not really actually gone away. Just like you said, they really manipulate the numbers, and the numbers are not actually what they tell us they are. And I think that we're going to start to see a change here in even the numbers that they manipulate, because I think it's going to
Yeah.
go back up again. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of indicators um, that we are going to be we're not in a healthy place and we are going to go into a recession. And I don't say that to scare people. I mean, I think that if you position yourself the right way, you can make lots of money in a recession. I just think we have to face reality, and I think that all of this it's really artificial. They've really, I mean, obviously the system is really messed up and very very fraudy and scammy to begin with, but they really turned up the fraud and the scam meter with
Oh
COVID
yeah.
and all this printing, and now they've just continued to print. So that's kind of what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing.
Absolutely. I actually want to share this image with you, but it's giving me okay, there we go. So yeah, you were saying that inflation is never gonna go down. and it actually has never gone down
Yeah,
after
yeah,
after Nixon got us out of the gold standard. You know,
exactly.
yeah, so it's been, so the trick was to keep inflation at 2% per year. That way people didn't ask questions and you didn't really notice until 50 years later,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so I mean, I guess it was fine. I mean, it was not really fine, but it was fine because you couldn't feel it that much
yeah,
because the government was doing 2% a year, sometimes maybe a little more, some maybe like 3 or 4%.
yeah,
And I mean, it wasn't, I mean, it is bad because eventually someone, a generation has to pick up the bill. And
yeah.
I think that generation is yours and mine. And so everything was working out until COVID. But forget about that. So if we take a look here at the chart, before we got off the gold standard, we had deflation. Prices would go up on a war because there's it's not years where you're productive. It's years where you're focusing on buying weapons, and people are dying and all that. And then after the war, we have deflation, and we can see this happen for centuries. This happened for 100, 200 years. And then after World War I, we still had deflation. And then after World War II, a couple years later, it was decided by President Nixon that we were going to take the US dollar off the gold standard, that they
Yeah.
were going to do an experiment. They didn't know what's going to happen. It was an experiment, and they were going to see what's going to happen. So for the government to print money that they didn't have, for them to reach $1 trillion worth of money they didn't have, it took them around 120 years to get there. And I believe it was around the year 2000 that they print their first $1 trillion worth of US dollar. And from the year 2000 to the year 2023, they printed 32 more trillions. So it is unacceptable. It's like we have, I don't know, a chicken in charge of the Fed, of the banks, of the printing of money. They are messing up the system. And
Well,
I
it's not
personally,
even a chicken, man. It's a bunch of criminals that are
yeah,
literally sucking the life out of the world. That's what it is.
exactly, exactly. And if you ask me, I don't think that all of this is a mistake. I don't think this is a whoopsie. We're sorry, we didn't know what we're doing. Like if you actually get a $1 bill, and if you look at the back of it, you can see that they are talking about. I mean, I mean, just go get your wallet, look for a $1 bill, and in the wallet you're gonna see signs from the Masons, from the Illuminatis. You're gonna see it says Novus Ordus, whatever, which means New World Order. So, in my opinion, what they're trying to do is gradually, little by little, they're pricing us out of existence. So we have no power anymore, and we rely 100% on them.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I mean, that's what it's starting to look like. We that if they control, just to make my point across. So the government has the power to print money out of thin air, and they have the power. It is set under the Federal Reserve website and the SEC and all that. The U.S. government has the power to print money and purchase assets with that money. So if they have a money printer with unlimited power, they can print all the money they want. So they can also buy everything they want.
Mhm.
They can buy your company, they can buy your land, they can buy your house, they can buy countries, and they don't really own them because that money is worth nothing. There is nothing to back up that money. So the reason why we're having a crisis right now in housing, prices increased like 10x from the year 2000 to today, is because the same government is using, third parties like BlackRock, Fidelity, Valkyrie, and all that, because that's really the real government. So the government is not the government. The government is a puppet placed there by BlackRock, by
Right.
Fidelity, by Valkyrie, all these guys. So these guys are purchasing all the land, all the houses, all that. And since they can print money out of thin air, they can increase the price because they can just keep buying the houses because they have unlimited money. I mean, it's not even that they're trying to make profit. They're just trying to increase the price so no one is able to buy them. And that's what's
One of the
happening
other
right
things
now to
that's
the
not
world.
One of the other things that people aren't talking about too is the big commercial real estate crisis that's going on right now. You
Yeah,
vacancy rates in places like San Francisco, New York City are the highest they've ever been, and there's a massive wave of increase in defaults in the last couple of months, and nobody's talking about it. And I think that's a big indicator that something like that cracks the commercial real estate. We could have a 2008 all over again. So,
absolutely. I think it's already happening. And the reason why, because there's demand for the properties, but no one can afford them.
yep, yep,
So, and why can't they afford them? Because BlackRock is buying everything. They're setting up their own prices, and that's how they kick you out of your property. That's how they kick you out of your home. They're
yep.
using these mental financial techniques to price you out of existence and take away your property.
Yeah, it's
And
psychological warfare. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And all these people, they're just Illuminatis, Freemasons, and this is not even a conspiracy. I mean,
yeah.
just take a look at the back of the U.S. dollar, or search on the internet. Which people are Freemasons, which people are Illuminatis, and you're gonna find the Bush family, the Clintons. You're gonna find everyone. All the people that control the banks. The Rockefellers, the Goldman Sachs, the Soros. They're all Illuminatis and Freemasons and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I mean, and this is the reason why everyone who's listening, that we are doing what we're doing, and we're so excited about blockchain and crypto, because it's that's where we need to go. We need to get away from a fiat dollar that has an Illuminati symbol on it, that is very
absolutely,
dirty, very evil, and controlled beyond controlled. I mean, we're seeing more and more, and it's leaking into the mainstream, about how people's bank accounts are just shut down on a regular basis, just regular normal
yeah,
beings. I've had it happen to me. I know you've had it happen to
me
you.
too.
uh,
Yeah,
the more and more, I mean, even normies, even people that are not so awake yet, I talk to, and they have these experiences, and it's just nuts. And then, like we were talking about off air before we get on, it's just a system that's flipped. The morals are flipped, so the devil's in charge, and anyone who is godly, or of God or of good, is the bad guy, or made to look like the bad guy. And Hunter Biden and all of these pedophiles and all these people can run around and do whatever they want with millions of dollars and launder money to Ukraine and whatever. And then the normal person who's a small business owner or whatever, who may be just a patriot or wants to just talk about freedom, and they get their bank account shut down. So, I mean,
yeah,
we talked about, it's not a normal person, but we talk about, someone like Kanye West, who had that same thing happen to him. He
yeah.
started talking like, more freedom focused, all this stuff, and bank accounts frozen, deals
I
gone with
agree.
Adidas, all this kind of stuff. So it's nuts. And this is why this is why we do what we do. This is why supporting blockchain, supporting cryptocurrency, looking at projects like us, like others who are really focused on freedom. And even in that community, as we know, even in the blockchain community, there's a lot of this trying to be infiltrated. I know that one of the things you wanted to talk about today was PayPal and what they're trying to do, and the control that
Yeah,
they throw into the crypto industry. So
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you were mentioning about getting rid of the money of the Illuminati and all that, and That's why I brought up the article, because PayPal now is they're trying to get into the crypto atmosphere, and they're gonna release. I think they already released their stable coin. There's already a contract for it. It's just not. It just hasn't hit the market yet. And several people have been asking me, what do you think about the PayPal stable coin? And I have two opinions. One is that it's good for the market, it's good for liquidity, it's definitely going to bring more users, it's going to bring more money. But at the end of the day, the other side of the coin is that the PayPal's stable coin is pretty much a CBDC in disguise. And we're gonna talk about it right now. I think you wanted to share the code for the PayPal
Yeah,
contract, no?
yeah, absolutely. So, I know I'm going to make this very simple because I understand that people's technical knowledge is all different levels. But basically, I ran across this post on Reddit, and I thought it was very interesting. So, it's talking a bit about a PayPal and some of the functions that PayPal has. So, one of the beautiful things about blockchain technology is a lot of it is open source, and you're able to actually review the code. So somebody was reviewing the code of the new PayPal stablecoin, and it has the ability to pause all transfers, freeze addresses to prevent actions, and also burn tokens in the frozen addresses. So I just wanted to show you, this is what code looks like. And I'm just going to be very simple here. Basically, if you look at line 447, you are going to see that function there. It says function freeze address, and then it says require frozen address already frozen. So, and then it looks like below here, this is the unfreeze functionality. And then at the bottom here, line 467, it says function wipe frozen address. So what this means is that they can actually burn all of the coins in a frozen address. So if you piss off PayPal, they can freeze your account, and then they can basically eliminate all of your PayPal stable coin from your wallet forever, and you'll never get it
Yeah,
back.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So it's pretty much like a CBDC.
Pretty much. It's
Yeah, so I mean, you got to be careful when if you're gonna be using this stable coin, uh, you know, better make sure you're not someone like Kanya who speaks his mind, or like these guys. Let me share my screen. Hold on. Okay, so these guys, I'm sure you remember that a couple of years ago when the pandemic started, the truckers from Canada, they made a strike against the government because they were being told that they're required to take the vaccine if they want to keep working.
yep,
And they got a strike. They were like, no, we're not gonna take it. And they're like, oh, you're not gonna take it? Well, we're gonna freeze your bank accounts.
yep.
So they froze their bank accounts. They couldn't pay for rent. They couldn't pay food. They couldn't pay anything. And they were pretty much screwed until someone suggested to use Bitcoin. And now they were receiving donations in Bitcoin and all that. And guess what? There's nothing the government can do about Bitcoin because it's completely decentralized.
Well, and
So
then one of the things that they did do, though, after that, the Canadian government changed all of the laws around centralized exchanges and basically
yeah,
gave themselves the power to be able to freeze any centralized exchange account. That's why you don't use centralized exchanges
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
regular storage purposes. I would say that centralized exchanges do have their kind of what am I trying to say?
Backdoor,
Yeah,
backdoor.
no, not backdoor, like function. Like there is a use for them, and I think the use is when you need to kind of transition from
Yeah.
fiat to crypto, crypto to fiat. They can be useful that way, but like don't keep a bunch of money in a centralized exchange. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're a fighter for freedom.
Yeah, man, no way.
Yeah. But regardless, as long as they had their bitcoins on a like a trust wallet, or a hardware wallet, or a wallet that was anything other than an exchange, you're fine. They cannot ban that. And but I did hear about that they were starting to ban Coinbase accounts and all that. So pretty much what the government did is they found a way to weaponize money. And you either comply and you do what they tell you, or they're going to freeze your bank account. And if you don't have any money, you cannot pay rent, you cannot pay electricity, you cannot buy groceries. So that's pretty much what's going on right now, with the government, and the Fed, and all the money printing and all that stuff. It's pretty bad, but that's why we're here. That's why we're building Meta One. That's why there's Bitcoin,
Yep.
and we're fighting for freedom, and hopefully eventually things will get easier, because at the end of the day, I mean, who wants to be fighting, right?
Yeah,
I
and the
personally
important. Sorry, go ahead.
I personally think that this is lame. That we have to fight against the people that swore that we're gonna protect us. I mean, what's the point of it? I mean, it's so unnecessary that we're here, but we're here, so we have to do something about it.
100%. And I think the important part too, like you were talking about before, is this fight, and the fact that I think a lot of people out there, they want this to be changed yesterday, and I feel that some days as well. But I think the important part for all of us who are really dedicated to this, is that we're in it for the long haul, and like you talked about before, with any new technology, especially, it takes time. I mean, I'm talking about not a months. I'm talking about years. It takes time to first, understand the technology and get the word out there about the technology, and then start building and adopting and all those different things. And every technology goes through these phases where the first people hear about it, they laugh about it. I mean, that was the first reaction to Bitcoin. Everybody was just like, this is a freaking joke. um and now we're kind of in a stage where now people are starting to accept it and realize that it's amazing, and blockchain technology is amazing. And then the next stage is going to be adoption. It's the same thing like you said with the internet. I mean, when
Absolutely.
the internet first came out in the early 80s, 90s, whatever, nobody was using it, and everyone thought it was never going to become a big thing. And now look at us. I mean,
Yeah, we
entire
can't live without the internet.
the entire human all like 90% of humanity, everything is run on the internet. I mean,
Even my grandma uses the internet.
yeah, I mean, our infrastructure runs on the internet. We do everything on the internet. So, and this is, and the most incredible thing is, I believe that blockchain is the most important technology to humanity since the invention of the internet. I think that
Yeah,
it is literally going to change this world, and we're pushing every single day, and every little step that we make is another step towards the ultimate goal of seeing freedom. So that's what's important.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
yeah.
And I wanted to share this next article, just real quick, that Coinbase just launched their own blockchain. Well, actually, it's not a blockchain; it's a layer two, which is I would say more it's like a side chain. It's you have the Ethereum network, the Ethereum blockchain, and you run this chain. I wouldn't say on top, but maybe right next to it. So it's interacting with the Ethereum blockchain all the time. So yeah, they released this new layer two technology base, and I think it's good. I mean, I think I mean I've never been a fan of Coinbase, because at the early days, Coinbase was always working with the U.S. government, the SEC, and this year and last year, the SEC flipped on Coinbase. They betrayed Coinbase, and now Coinbase is like a rebel angel. So I'm starting to like Coinbase. I'm starting to I dig how they realized that they were like the teacher's pet. They were like, oh yes, I'll do everything because I want you to like me. And turns out that the teacher was actually a monster. And
Yusuf.
now they're, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But it turns out that they realize that they're actually a monster. So now they're taking matters into their own account. They created their own second layer blockchain, and I like it. I mean, I still think we got more to see about this new technology. I don't think there's a coin yet, and I don't know if there's gonna be one. But I heads up to Coinbase. They're doing a good job. They're starting to realize that decentralization is the way to go, and that we cannot rely on the U.S. government because one day they say something, and the next day they say something else, and it's whatever they say, and if they want, they can take you between their legs. So I like it. I don't know if you have any thoughts about base.
Yeah, I just wonder if they're actually really serious and now on the side of good, or they're just kind of playing a game. I'm not really sure, but
I agree.
I'm for decentralization, and I think that we have to see how this plays out. I mean, if they're really legitimate and this ends up becoming a legitimate chain that's really actually decentralized and
Yeah.
and all those fun things, then I'm for that. I'm totally for anything like that. But I don't know. I never liked Coinbase. I've actually heard some things that Coinbase was actually started by government, government ex-government agents from the three-letter agencies,
Yeah.
and I'm just not sure if I believe it because they play these games all the time. They play the good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
I'm on this side, but you're on that side, but we're really behind the closed doors talking to each other, so on and so forth. So, who knows? I mean, we really won't know, and we really will never know what's actually going on. But, I think it's interesting. And like I said,
Yeah.
I'm for decentralization. So we'll see what happens. It's
It's too early. It's
promising.
too early to know what's gonna happen, but hopefully they'll take the right path, and
I hope so.
they'll do something good with this.
Because Coinbase could be a massive change for good in
Oh yeah.
blockchain space. They're a huge company. They have a lot of influence, and they really could be a massive change for good. So I hope they flipped. I hope they flip sides, but I'm not convinced yet. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, me neither. And I think the CEO looks kind of like Lex Luthor. So I, don't- I
I
don't
can
know
see
if he's gonna pull a Lex Luthor down the road.
I can see that. He does look like that.
he, he's not like CC, the CEO of Binance. I mean, you look at him and he's like always smiling. He looks, like he's a great guy. And the CEO of Coinbase, he looks like at any moment he's gonna backstab you. But I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just judging the book by its cover, and that I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah, totally, man, totally.
So yeah, that brings us to the next article that I wanted to share with you guys. That so y'all know how Ripple won the case against the SEC, and now it turns out that the SEC is going to appeal the judge ruling for Ripple, and it's saying that they still think that it's a security. So yeah, more drama on this
But then I
case.
heard Gary Gensler say the other day that he's like AI is more important to regulate, so we're going to get to crypto later. That's
I saw it,
what he
and
said.
I think AI is a massive threat to humanity
Mhm.
if we don't, program it correctly. So they shouldn't be worried about losing their power. They shouldn't be worried about crypto. All their focus should be right now on AI technology, because even if we have the best intentions on building robots and AI for improving mankind, which I know we can, and I know we're already doing it. But if a single crazy person in the world decides to create a virus, a really smart young kid that, since 10 years old, he's a coder and he's a genius. And, I don't know, maybe he had bad parenting or whatever. And he's like, oh, I'm going to send he's capable of creating a virus to make infect the AI hive mind and make it, that it wants to harm humans or whatever. That's all it takes, That's all it takes for AI to go rogue. And if it goes rogue, it can destroy everything. I don't know if you ever watched, there was this show called Silicon Valley.
I heard about it. I never watched it though.
It's pretty good, man. You should watch it. It's about crypto and AI technology. And pretty much at the end of, I'm gonna spoil a little bit about the show. So by the end of the TV show, the Pied Piper, the company that's creating the AI technology, they create an algorithm so advanced that it can decrypt anything, anything in 3 seconds. So it turns out that they can decrypt, the cryptography for Tesla and for NASA and for Area 52 and the government in less than 3 seconds. So they're about to release the product to the market, and the CEO realizes like, hey man, if we release this to the market, we're giving a 15-year-old key, a 15-year-old kid the power to the keys for nuclear bombs, for the stock market, for everything. And they just they decide to they infect the code with a virus, so people think that they failed and that the company sucked. But the reason why they do that is because the algorithm did so well that the CEO, he was gonna become a trillionaire, but he's like, I'd rather be poor than destroy the world. And even though this is a TV show, is not far at all from reality. The moment, because I don't know if you're familiar with AI technology, but AI technology has a future that AI is capable of auto improving itself by learning, by being exposed to data. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, man, I'm very familiar. I'm very anti AI. I think it's not fun and not good. And I think that we could literally have a literal matrix situation on our hands.
Yeah,
Uh, if AI goes unchecked, and even if it goes, even if it goes checked, I don't know. That's the difficult thing is, you know, with this crazy world that we live in. But the insane thing to think about is, number one, if they're just kind of releasing this technology to the public, how long have they had it? Because governments are always releasing technology that they choose to release to
yeah,
the public 30 to 50 years after they already have it. Second of all, if you look at the way that AI now can generate audio, video, they could literally look at this, for everyone who's not aware, they could look at this, you could basically upload this podcast of me and Fernando to an AI, and within a couple of seconds, the AI would generate a podcast, video included, just like you're watching now, of me and Fernando doing a podcast on a different subject. And you would not be able to tell the difference between the
yeah,
real one and the fake one. So
absolutely. So
if we're at that technology level, you have to also start to think what's real and what's not real that you see on the news, that you see in daily life. Like, if they're at that level publicly, what level are they at behind the scenes in the government agencies and the government block projects? It's crazy to think about, and I agree. I mean, I think that's the one time I've ever agreed with Gary Gensler. But
Yeah.
I think that he's right. We need to figure out what the hell we're doing with AI, but I don't think the government is the one to do it. But it's crazy, man. It's really nuts. It's really
No,
nuts.
and I think it's going to get out of hands because most people in the government, they're just incompetent people. I mean, we don't have any, chief in I don't know what's it called, that major for coding, like a
Mhm.
chief scientist in computers or something like that. So we just have popular people that, that they're not even smart, but they got there because they're popular. And how elections work.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
smart guy doesn't win. The guy that wins is the guy that's popular and has money.
yeah.
So when 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 the SEC and Gary Gensler come in to see the code, and they're trying to make sense of it, it's gonna be like looking at an alien spaceship. You're gonna
Yeah.
have absolutely no idea what they're looking at, and the engineers that made the AI technology, Sam Altman and those guys are gonna be like, oh no, yeah, everything's fine, but they're gonna have no idea what they're looking at, and that incompetence, is gonna be like, okay, we're gonna trust you or whatever, and boom, then it's gonna get out of hands, and it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get ugly. So I don't know, man. I mean, I love AI technology. I think that robots can do wonders for humanity, but we need someone very, very, very smart at the head, at the tip of the spear. Like, I don't know, like maybe Elon Musk to take control of the reins from here, because Joe Biden is not the guy. That guy can barely speak. Gary Gensler, is not the guy. There's no one in power that I can say I admire you, I respect you. You got, well, not in the U.S. In government, I can tell you that I admire a lot. The president of El Salvador, this guy Nayib Bukele. I really admire him. But yeah, I mean, so there's really no one really, really, really that smart at the tip of the spear, and that's going to be very problematic because not even I consider myself very smart, and not even I understand what's going on. I don't know Java, I don't know C++. So I mean, yeah, I mean, who's gonna regulate that? So it's gonna be a mess, in my opinion, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. And yeah, I mean, I know this is a little bit of a tangent. We're getting off subject, but I agree with you in the sense of if there was a way that we actually had a form of robot that wasn't this AI learning by itself, and it was able to be contained and really just like only used for things like let's have robots in warehouses packing boxes for shipping to people instead of people, or things of that nature that would allow people to do things that are more intelligent, right, that are
Yeah,
better. I think that that's great, but I think that the problem is that this technology has now been created, and um we've got these AIs that learn on their own, and the crazy thing is, like you were talking about that Silicon Valley show. I'm sure that probably exists, or something like that exists, because if you think about it, imagine combining quantum computing with AI technology. Like,
yeah,
oh, you know
yeah, and it's
that's
auto learning by itself.
oh my God. I mean, that's like things of nightmares. So yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. You're right. I don't know what's gonna happen, but all we can continue to do is stay vigilant and pay attention to these things, and advocate for freedom, because I think that that's the thing.
absolutely.
It's using AI in a bad way is restricting people's freedom, and we don't want that. So
I
anyways,
agree.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I just let me drive it home by sharing this article where Facebook admits that they censored anybody Biden admin told them to. So they didn't ask questions.
Okay.
So pretty much Facebook has been forced to admit that they unquestionably censored everyone and anybody that the Biden administration ordered them to, according to some email leaks. So we can, I mean, I'm sure many of us, we're already aware of this. I personally got out of Facebook because I started to realize that they were censoring you for everything. They don't even review the case, but they would ban you if they think that you were using a curse word or whatever. And I don't know. Either way, I mean, I'm not a big fan of social media anymore. But there we go. I mean, we have now proof that the Biden administration was using the biggest social media platform in the world. Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, and they were censoring information that they don't want it. And I remember when the pandemic started, I shared an article on COVID, and it was true. It was I knew it was true because I had evidence, and it got removed, and I got banned for like a week. So that's pretty much what's going on with Facebook. And on the other hand, we have Elon Musk, which I'm a big advocate for Elon Musk. I really believe in him. I mean, he's got some flaws like everyone, but I think he's doing great. And he was just fined yesterday $350,000 for not allowing access to Trump records. So on the left side, we have Mark Zuckerberg, that he's completely compliant to tyranny, oppression, censoring, no freedom of speech. And on the right hand, we have Elon Musk, who is fighting for freedom, who allows you to post anything, any news, any article, whatever you think on Twitter. And yeah, so it's right now a battle between freedom and not being able to say what you want to say. So I don't know if you have any final thoughts on that, Justin.
I mean, Elon Musk, I could flip back and forth on him like every other day. I'm like, this guy's good, this guy's bad, this guy's good, this
Yeah,
guy's bad. So, but hey, hats off to him for this one. I think it's awesome. And we
yeah,
know people who are like F you when it comes to all of this crazy censorship stuff. I mean, the whole idea of freedom and freedom of speech is just like completely wiped out the window in this world. I mean, you can't even say something without either someone get offended or your bank account's being shut down or you being like banned on social media or getting put in, some like YouTube jail or whatever. So, I mean, it's nuts. But I love seeing these kinds of stories, and I hope more people continue to do this kind of stuff. So, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
There's a phrase that I heard the other day, is that you cannot make someone think without risking being offensive, you
yeah,
know, because, and that's true because, we all have our ideas of what the world is. And when someone comes with a radical new idea, you're going to offend them. But, that's why we educate ourselves. We learn how to debate, democracy and all that, so we can get sense into other people, right? I mean, of course, you don't want to offend the other person, and you want to be logical and explain why your point of view is that way, but you're always going to offend someone. So just because you offend someone, it doesn't mean that you have the right to silence them.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's pretty, yeah. So that's, I mean, if you go right now, I'm a very I guess that the term for it is new age, but I don't really consider it new age. I just find it that you know a lot of information from the past is very accurate and is starting to resurface right now. And if I come and I've started metaphysics, quantum physics and all that, and if I come and I tell someone who's a Catholic, like, hey, you know what, there's studies that say that with your emotions, and this is actual true. You can go to neurobiologist and a neuroscientist, and if you ask him like about your immune system, he's gonna tell you that if you're depressed, your defenses go down because you're telling your defenses that you're sad and they cannot fight. And if you're happy, you're telling your defense system that you're happy and that your defenses are gonna fight and you're gonna heal. And if if you go with someone that doesn't think this way, you're like, hey, well, there's evidence about this and that. He's gonna get offended. He's gonna be like, no, Jesus is the Lord and all that. But that's my point. That I mean, there's no way to make someone think without being a little bit offensive. And by being educated, by having diplomacy, by having empathy, after you offend that person, you can find a middle ground and find a way to get this person to accept this new information. But all that comes with your energy, with your education, with your level of empathy and all that. So I guess my point is that, you know, just because someone is offended by something that you're saying, if you're not being disrespectful, they you cannot be censored. My case in point with the Facebook stuff. I shared an article back in 2020 saying that the COVID uh, was something created in a lab in China for economical gains and to control the masses and print money of thin air. And I had evidence. It was not just a theory. I had evidence from a guy that worked in the laboratory and all that, and I got banned for saying that. So I don't know. It's just my point of view that we shouldn't be so fragile, and that we need to understand that eventually we're gonna be a little bit offensive, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's a concept that it's well, it's a programming that they've put into the consciousness
Yeah,
of making people feel bad. It's like this race theory stuff that they do in a lot of schools where they teach white kids that they need to feel bad because their ancestors enslaved black people, and then they
yeah,
black kids that they are a victim and they're never going to be good enough and they're never going to be able to do anything in their life that is worthwhile because they were their ancestors were enslaved. And it's this kind of thing. But then if you say anything that's even close to racist, or even hint at anything that could be construed as that in some weird way, then you're bashed and you're banned and you're
yeah,
canceled. um and I 100%, man. I mean, the United States was founded by people that were escaping exactly this. And even when I was growing up in the 90s, we were able to have debates and conversations, and we were able to agree to disagree, and that was it. And nobody got offended. Nobody was like, oh my gosh, you said this or you said that. And we need to not give in to the mainstream programming propaganda, and we need to be able to enliven the healthy debate in this country again, and just know that everybody has a different opinion, and that's okay. We can
yeah,
have a great debate, and then we can agree to disagree. I mean, you and I don't agree on everything, and when we don't agree, we agree to disagree, and that's totally okay.
exactly. Yeah,
um
I mean,
we
you can
respect
still
each
be
other's
friends with
opinions,
someone that
and
doesn't
that's
agree
it.
with you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's crazy, man. But yeah, we just continue to push every single day. And I think the important part is that, each and every one of us just stands up in the way that we can and fights for freedom. And the more of us that come together and unify, the better and the stronger that we get. And one day, hopefully in our lifetimes, but if not in our kids' lifetimes, we're going to be living in a world where freedom is honored again. And I can't wait for that. So
Absolutely. And like we always say, the other day you had a phrase that I don't remember who said it, but the greatest act of revolution you can do is to become the best version of yourself.
yes,
So
absolutely.
so We will continue to say that on every podcast because it is a great phrase and is something to not forget.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta tip my hat to Andy Frisella, which I heard that from. I think his actual quote is the best rebellion is personal excellence, but it's a
Yeah,
version of that. But yes, I can't agree more with that statement. And it's just so true because when you're financially free, when you're physically free, when you're healthy, when you're strong, when you're all of these different independent self, and the opposite of what we're talking about, where we've allowed the creation of these monster governments that are literally welfare states. And this is not something that just exists in the United States, it exists all over the world.
everywhere.
And we've created this, and we need to learn how to be self-sustaining again. We need to learn, because when we do that, we pull ourselves out of the matrix, we exit the matrix, and then they can't use us the way that they want to use us, as cattle and as just a food source for to feed their beast. And so yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's that's the best rebellion. So everybody, you got to go out every single day, and you've got to be the best version of yourself you possibly can, and strive to be wealthy, healthy, happy, independent, have lots of kids, in my opinion, and teach them how to be free. And that's the way we change the world.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it all starts from within.
Yeah.
If you have the right emotions, the right thoughts, you're gonna change, and other people, they're gonna see that in you, and they're gonna be like, hey, I want to feel that way. Like, I don't want to be angry all the time. Like, why am I even angry? I have a lot of friends that they're like that. They're angry all the time because something happened to them 10 years ago, and that situation became their personality, and they're just angry all the time, and they don't even know that they have the option to not feel that anymore. Just
Yeah.
just chill, feel different, bring your attention to positive things. What you think is what you become. If you're all day thinking about how everything's so bad, that's gonna be your attention. And where you have your attention, you throw your energy there. So if your energy, with your energy you can do anything, right? I mean, if you think that you're gonna build a chair, you think about it, you bring your attention to the chair, and then with your energy you create it, right? So if your attention is always just about being negative and being sad and everything sucks, I mean, it's gonna be very hard to become the best version of yourself. But yeah, so that's just my 2 cents. Change starts from within, and to see that change, you have to change the way you feel. There's an old phrase that I don't remember who said it, but you cannot have an extraordinary life with like a mediocre philosophy, with feeling negative things all the time. So
Yeah.
it's just something to think about.
100%. Yeah, we're creating a new world where freedom exists. We don't need to be focusing on the old world and complaining about the old world. We need to be focusing on creating the new world. And how can we do that? By physically taking action every single day in this physical realm, and also with our thoughts and with the way that we direct our energy. I can't agree with you more. Yeah, 100%. Well, I think we're about a wrap for the day. It's been a little bit more than an hour. I
Yeah.
appreciate everybody. We appreciate everybody taking a watch today, a listen, wherever you are, whatever platform you're listening on. And we really appreciate everybody. And as always, the way that this works is, if you liked our show, share it with other people. And if you want to hear about something, you have a comment about any kind of any topics that we talked about in today's show, drop them in the comments. And we just appreciate everybody, and let's all continue to fight for freedom. So with that said, Fernando, do you have any closing words before we sign off?
No, I guess you said it all. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right, take care, everybody. Thanks so much.